Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast with your hosts, Mike Walters and Eddie Jones. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
All right, welcome back to Ducks and Pucks. We have a special show for you today with Phil Hulett on our show, who, if you heard the intro, you know that Phil did it for us. He'll also hook you up with a reasonable fee if you need to have a voiceover done. But we have Phil on the show. We're going to talk about the Ducks and some of the off-season stuff. And welcome back to the show, Phil.
Thank you very much, guys. Great to talk to you again, Mike and Eddie. And I'm looking forward to October. I cannot wait. In fact, September 25th ought to do. In fact, there's a date in August that might even get things rolling a little bit as far as my hockey fix.
Oh, yeah, I would think so, too. And you know, that's the event that's coming up. The Fedorin Cup. I'm actually going to be at this event for the first time.
August 29th at Anaheim Ice, at the Rinks Anaheim Ice, I should say it correctly.
Correct, Phil. And what is your role going to be? I mean, I know you usually MC it, but kind of give the fans a little bit about the event and what you do.
Well, here's the thing. If you're not in, get in. There are limited seats. I believe the capacity is somewhere around 1,100 or so, and or it might even be lower than that. So don't quote me on the capacity. I just know that it's not a lot. It'd be nice if we could do it in a bigger venue, but we do what we can to raise money for cancer research and just awareness. And this year the theme, as usual, is who do you fight for? And everybody has been touched in their life one way or another by cancer. Is either fighting the disease currently, somebody in the family or a friend is fighting it, or somebody has lost the battle. And so that's what everybody is there for. It's what all the players show up for, and NHL players, former, current, players that are in the system, local, standout minor league players, college players. They all come out, and we have a big game. Split them up into two teams. Very often it's a USA versus Canada thing. And the fans get to watch a great hockey game. They get to see what the players look like, some of them that they haven't seen since the end of the previous season. Some there might even be some players that we haven't seen before. I haven't seen the latest updated roster, but we know a lot of guys are going to be out there, names that you'll recognize. You watch the game. There is plenty of activity. There are contests. There's a silent auction, all sorts of memorabilia, Ducks stuff, and it's not just limited to Ducks memorabilia. And then there's a VIP party and dinner and auction and live music that happens afterwards. And if you can get in on that, that's spectacular because we have nothing but fun there. It's a casino night as well. And all of the proceeds from the evening go to the Athletic Sports Foundation of America. And that money goes to, again, raise awareness and fight that dreaded disease, cancer.
Yeah, and you talk about cancer, and you know it's a huge deal for everybody. I actually just have a coworker that's in the hospital as we speak. She's fighting cancer right now, so my prayers go out to her. You know, she's been a good friend of mine for the last 8-9 years, so I think she's going to recover. But it's definitely something that touches everybody. You know, some of the players that are going to be there. We heard that Ryan Getzlaf would be there. Have you heard of any others that you can name, Phil, that might be at the event?
You know what? I've been following the Fedorin Cup Facebook page, and there have been little tidbits of information dropping here and there. The roster is very often, from season to season, a work in progress until the morning of the event, sometimes an hour before the thing starts. I get the lineup, and I get to announce and introduce all the players. And very often I'm scrambling to scribble something down at the last minute. So it is something else. So for me to come out and say exactly who's going to be playing might be a mistake right now. I don't want to mislead anybody. I can tell you in previous years, Teemu Selanne has always been there. And there were a couple of years where at the last minute, we weren't sure if he would be there. And then all of a sudden, here he comes into the building and throws on some skates and a sweater, and he's on the ice. So it's hard to say who's going to be there and who isn't. But there are always a lot of guys. I can tell you some of the guys you can count on being there, like Jason Marshall is always there. And he's just a great guy. If you love hockey and you love seeing somebody smile, you'll enjoy Jason Marshall, and you know what I'm talking about if you've followed his career at all. Just a smiling guy, happy to be playing hockey, and happy to be out there with the fans, and that's what really this is all about: is getting people together, people who love hockey, and collectively fighting cancer.
Yeah, exactly. And if you go on the website and you end up buying a VIP ticket, which is what I did for my wife and I too, you can go to the event. And as Phil said, you can get to see the game, and you also get to do the after stuff, which I believe is the dinner and the casino night. Correct, Phil?
That's correct. And FedorinCup.com is the easiest way to remember, or you can go to ASFAmerica.com, Athletic Sports Fund of America. But FedorinCup.com is the easy way to remember it. And just looking at the schedule of events, there are plenty of things to do throughout the afternoon and the evening. Again, check in at 2:30. The doors open at 3:30. The players will do a warm-up shortly after that. Then I'll introduce the players. Then at 4:15, the puck drops, and silent auction throughout the night once again, and the game should be over by 6:30. These are typically close games. The players know how to keep them close, and it's hard to say who's going to win each year, but it's always a one-goal game.
Yeah, and it should be a lot of fun. And, if people can go out there and buy a ticket, it'd be great. Check out those websites, as Phil mentioned. He'll be there, and I'll be there as well. The last time I saw you, Phil, was earlier in the summer, and summertime. There's no hockey, and there's other things going on. What else have you been up to? I know you've been over at the Angel games a little bit, and what else has been keeping you busy?
Right, I've done the public address for a couple of Angel games, and I've done all of the LA Kiss games, and their season sadly is over now. It's the postseason in the Arena Football League, but the Kiss did not make it. An improved team. I expect big things for them next season because they're really still a relatively new team, and they're just trying to get their cohesive lineup together. And I've seen some real great moves by the management, and so I expect the LA Kiss to be a contender next year. Always a lot of fun to come to those games. There's a live heavy metal band that plays in between the quarters, and after the thing is over, you get to come down. The band plays, and you get to meet the players and the cheerleaders, the LA Kiss girls, and it's just a great environment. Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley were there at the last game and signing autographs and speaking to the crowd. It's always a lot of fun. So it's worth coming to, and I get to scream on the microphone all night long, yelling defense, and let's go Kiss, LA Kiss, and just have a crazy night. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you probably miss getting to, do your patented Anaheim Ducks goal. That's probably a little bit different, Phil?
Oh, yeah, it's a little bit different. I have my own thing for the football game, but for the Ducks, I can't wait to say Anaheim Ducks goal on the new sound system and see the brand new scoreboard that is they're probably gluing it together right now. Not that they're using glue, but just to use a term that because technically I don't know how they put that thing together. It's 30 feet by 20 feet. It's enormous. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and it looks like you're gonna have a couple new names this year. I know we're still waiting on Hagelin to sign a contract, and obviously some familiar names coming back with Silfverberg too. How important do you think it is that with Silfverberg getting signed for the next 4 years for the future of the Ducks?
I think it's great. I'm still waiting. I do believe Silfverberg has a lot more to offer, and I think the fact that he has a good contract now and knows he has a home and a place to call home for the next several seasons, that we might just see his standout season this year. And if that's the case, look out, because I don't think we've tapped all of his talent yet. But you could see, I mean, he is one of the standout players, and it's time for him to make his mark. And hopefully this is the season for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the experienced players that are coming along that are on the lineup now. Of course, you mentioned Hagelin. Horkoff is another great pickup, and it'll be interesting to see what happens between the pipes. Anderson, Gibson, is Kudobin going to play a big role? We know that Bob Koff is going to play off in his the home country now, so he's not a factor. So these are the guys, and who's going to rise to the top, injuries notwithstanding? Will it be Anderson? Will it be Gibson? Or will Kudobin be forced into play and all of a sudden prove himself to Ducks fans? It's a lot of things a lot of things still in motion, and looking forward to seeing some of the kids from the last 2 or 3 drafts start coming in and making an impact, because we really haven't seen much, if any, of that since Hampus Lindholm. So I'd love to see some guys come up that were picked in recent years and show us what they've got.
Yeah, one thing we've been asked, I don't know how many times in this offseason is really how much has this team improved, and are there chances, better with, Dallas getting better and Colorado might be able to come back this year? How much better are their chances at getting past that Game 7 and making an appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Yeah, you know what? Obviously, they can't think about the other teams. They just have to beat them. But really, the only thing missing from this team, and I think most fans will agree with this, is some kind of element of mental toughness that other teams seem to have. The winning teams for the last few years of the Stanley Cup. I mean, Chicago's a great example. They didn't have the best record coming into the playoffs, but once they got into the postseason, they were able to shift into some unknown gear that carried them throughout the playoffs. I know the Ducks have that gear, but for whatever reason, and again, I have to say it's mental, because it's not a skill thing, that's for sure, because the Ducks are a very skilled team. In fact, on paper, and what we saw in the regular season, perhaps more skilled than any of the teams that outlasted them in the postseason. So what is it? It's got to be mental. And so if they can find that this season, and that's why I say I like the fact that there's some experience being added to the team, some older players. Horkoff, born in 1978. Hagelin is 10 years younger, but still, these guys are veterans. They've been on teams that have put up some numbers. And when you have a little more experience on the team in the locker room, that should be the type of thing that gets some mental cohesiveness, I think. And I'm not a hockey genius, but it seems to me that that's the only thing missing. Something's got to click mentally to get them past that hump.
Yeah, I agree with you, Phil. And I think we saw the interview with Murray, on Fox Sports West. They did a little preview there with Hazy on there. And that's what he talked about, was going out and getting other players for that veteran leadership, because it seemed like, towards the end of the Chicago series that, maybe it was a criticism or, a critique of the Ducks, was that the veteran leadership was lacking, because you had Kessler out there battling it out. You had Getzlaf and Perry, but, they were talking about you need a better supporting cast. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think the supporting cast and veteran leadership is what's going to get the Ducks over the hump this year. Yeah,
all right. And the other thing that's going to help is the third jersey.
Yes, which has been a big topic today. A lot of people talking about that the third jersey. We know that the Ducks released it, or going to release it on October 16th when they host the Colorado Avalanche. But there's been some speculation of what it looks like, and I've actually talked to Reebok today, and the images that are going around are still not official. Anything Phil, that you probably couldn't tell us if you knew, but
nothing I know, and I'm sure the folks at Reebok know something, and a handful of people over at the Ducks organization, as they say up in Canada. The people that do know something, if they were to say or to leak something, I'm sure there would be some severe retribution. And I don't know exactly what that would be. But if I knew, there's no way I would say anything. I can tell you, I walked past the video panels for the new scoreboard. And for a moment, I thought, you know what, I should take a snapshot of that. They're all wrapped up. You can't see them, but just take a snapshot and just wet people's whistle a little bit. And the anticipation would be spectacular if I were to post that on social media. But, before I do that, I count to 5, maybe 10. And I come to my senses and I say, you know what, there's no way. I'm not the spokesman for the Ducks. I'm not in control of the flow of information here. And so even though I have what really is not much information, it's information by itself, and it's not my place to put it out there. And so if I were to see the jersey, and if I were to say something about it, I think there'd be a job opening for public address announcer. Honestly, I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Phil. And that's what I've tried to tell people too. It's been difficult because sometimes people say, hey, you probably know what's going on and blah blah blah, and I tell them the same thing. because I've made friends with the marketing people at the Ducks too, and they have not told me what the jersey is. I've showed them other samples and whatnot, and even if they did tell me, I wouldn't say anything because, as you know, Phil, I've built a good relationship with you and some of the other employees at the Ducks. And same thing, if I did that, then I would be cut off. You would see me banished probably in somewhere, but it wouldn't be at the Honda Center, that's for sure, Phil.
Yeah, I like easy questions. Like when people find out I work in radio, they typically ask me, "Hey, do you know Ryan Seacrest?"
Oh God, that's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, the other thing too is even like the Ducks scoreboard. We had a photo of the framing that people have seen, at the KISS games, which has been okay. But as far as when the actual scoreboard's put up and everything's put up together, I'm going to refrain too from putting anything unless given the okay, because the same thing. It's one thing to go there and visit a KISS game and see it and post it, but if you're going to actually post stuff before it's completed, I would think that would be a big no-no too, Phil.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the preseason schedule. When's our first home game? On the 25th, right?
Correct.
25th against the Kings.
Correct.
Isn't that right?
In September.
Okay. So that, to me, would be the first possible day that we would see the scoreboard. I have to imagine it'll be operational by then. There's always a chance they plug all the parts in and they're not satisfied with the workings of it, and so they might do some alternative and wait until October to show it off. But I think that would be the first day where we have a shot at seeing it is against the Kings on the 25th preseason.
Yeah, and you're correct as far as putting up the screen and tinkering with it. I mean, that's something that I've heard from some of the Duck sources too. Is they said, hey, here's the measurements and here's what it's like, which we put up in the write-up just to give people an idea. But they said, you know what, everything is subject to change because as soon as you put everything up there, as you mentioned, it could go haywire, and then you don't know. Then they got to fix it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, everything you buy comes with a warranty, doesn't it?
Hopefully a Costco warranty, right?
Yeah, right, and hopefully there's an extended warranty, but just the same. And then from what I understand, now maybe you know this too. Often you're better tapped in on these things than I am. The old scoreboard has made its way down to San Diego.
That's correct. I don't know if it was the entire thing, but definitely parts of it did make it down to San Diego, which, I'm planning to go to some of the games. I don't know if you are, but I definitely want to try to catch a couple. My wife and I like to go to San Diego often during the year.
Yeah, well, San Diego's coming up, and I want to say that it's October 5th.
That's correct.
And the Gulls are coming to Honda Center, and you'll get to see them play. The Gulls, they're called the Gulls, aren't they?
Correct. And
all right. I had a brain lock there for a second. and I don't know to what degree I'll be involved. From what I understand, they're bringing their show, so their public address announcer is probably going to come up and get to use my microphone. But just the same, I might lend a helping hand in one way or another, or if they want me to do the announcing, I'll be happy to do that. But that's their team. Their announcer knows their players, and it's going to be fun to have a team nearby that's affiliated, and it'll be a thrill for the San Diego fans when it's inevitable one of our players gets injured and has to rehab. They'll do so down there in San Diego, and that'll be great for the fans down there who are chomping at the bit to see what the team is like this year, and if they can get the benefit of the Ducks operation by way of rehabilitation, that's going to be great for those fans.
And I think another key point that, Murray talked about in his interview with Hayward too is the efficiency of being able to have the team so close because, before the players had to fly from Virginia all the way to California during the home games, unless the Ducks were on an East Coast swing, it was difficult to move players back and forth. So I think it's going to be a huge benefit because now they're just a freeway away. I mean, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on traffic, Phil.
Right. And if the traffic's bad, hop on a train.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, especially with the new station being right next to Honda Center. I mean, that's another great addition that they've done over at the building, Phil.
Yeah, it's a good plan. I like it. Can't wait to see what happens.
As far as the rest of your free time, which I know you don't have a lot, what else has been going on? Anything else you've been working on? I know you still do some of your other radio stuff as well. Anything?
Well, I continue to do my show, Phil Hulett and Friends. If you visit the website, philhulettandfriends.com, you could catch up on all the latest episodes. We just did another one today. which we titled after the fact. It's available now on podcast. We just finished one called Fried Food, Ice Cream, and Beer. What could possibly go wrong? And it was a lot of fun. And again, it's available there as well as iTunes and iHeart and all the regular places where you can get programming on demand. Just look for Phil Hulett and Friends.com. And every day I'm in my home studio, which, by the way, is where I am now, doing voiceovers. And if you ever need to hire somebody to do that, the voice of the Ducks will be happy to be the voice of your product or service. Just visit philhulett.com.
Yeah, definitely. And, we always appreciate everything you've done to help us, Phil, as far as, mentoring us on different things to do, and obviously the intro as well. And look forward to seeing you at the Fedorin Cup on August 29th, if I don't talk to you sooner. And glad to have you on the show again. Always appreciate your advice and support, Phil.
All right. A pleasure to hear from you guys, Mike and Eddie, and see you at the Fedorin. And for everybody else, don't be left out. Get your tickets to the Fedorin Cup now because, again, seating is limited. And definitely, if you can get the VIP pass, do that.
All right. And we'll be back probably next week, hopefully with some updates. Hopefully we'll see Hagelin get his deal done and keep you up to date on all the Ducks news. Thanks for listening. See you in a week.